mainstream media's portrayal of Christians has been a topic of controversy for many years. It is not uncommon to see Christians being misrepresented or maligned in various news outlets, with their beliefs and values being distorted or exaggerated for the sake of clicks and ratings. But why does this happen? Why does the mainstream media seemingly have a bias against Christians? One reason for this bias is the media's liberal leaning. Many journalists and news outlets have a secular, progressive worldview that is at odds with traditional Christian values. As a result, they often view Christians as being out of touch with modern society, and they may see Christianity as a threat to their own values and ideals. This can lead to a skewed portrayal of Christians, with the media focusing on fringe elements or extreme views rather than representing the majority of Christians who hold moderate and mainstream beliefs. Another reason for the media's bias against Christians is the desire for controversy and ratings. The media often thrives on conflict and controversy, and what better way to generate clicks and ratings than to pit one group against another? By portraying Christians as intolerant, bigoted, or extreme, the media can create a narrative that sparks outrage and debate. This can be seen in the way that the media covers issues like abortion, gay marriage, and religious freedom, often framing Christians as being on the wrong side of these issues. The media's bias against Christians can also be attributed to a lack of understanding and empathy. Many journalists and news outlets may not have a deep understanding of Christian theology or culture, and as a result, they may rely on stereotypes and caricatures rather than seeking to truly understand the Christian perspective. This can lead to a lack of nuance and context in their reporting, with Christians being portrayed in a one-dimensional and unfair light. Furthermore, the media's bias against Christians can have serious consequences. It can contribute to a culture of hostility and intolerance towards Christians, making it more difficult for them to express their beliefs and values in a public square. It can also lead to a lack of trust and credibility in the media, as Christians and other viewers become disillusioned with the biased and unfair reporting. In addition, the media's bias against Christians can be seen in the way they cover certain stories. For example, when a Christian is involved in a scandal or controversy, the media is quick to highlight their faith and use it as a way to sensationalize the story. However, when a non-Christian is involved in a similar scandal, their faith is rarely mentioned. This double standard is a clear example of the media's bias against Christians. Moreover, the media's bias against Christians can also be seen in the way they cover Christian persecution around the world. While the media is quick to report on the plight of other religious groups, such as Muslims or Jews, they often ignore or downplay the persecution of Christians. This can be seen in the way they cover stories about Christian genocide in the Middle East, or the persecution of Christians in countries like China or North Korea. In conclusion, the mainstream media's bias against Christians is a complex issue with multiple factors at play. The media's liberal leaning, desire for controversy and ratings, lack of understanding and empathy, and double standards all contribute to a skewed portrayal of Christians. This bias can have serious consequences, contributing to a culture of hostility and intolerance towards Christians and undermining trust and credibility in the media. As consumers of media, it is essential to be aware of these biases and to seek out diverse and nuanced sources of information. By doing so, we can work towards a more balanced and fair representation of Christians and their beliefs, and promote greater understanding and empathy in the public square. Ultimately, it is only by acknowledging and addressing these biases that we can create a more just and equitable media landscape for all.